I'll be back in about an hour, Margaret. If I'm not back by 10, clock us in. Ta. Hi, Dave. Goosey Rubles.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Kai Humphries!
Awesome! Oh, thank you. You're very nice to me. You all know how to make someone feel welcome. That's what they say. I've got a story to tell you people, a story that you are all part of, a big part of. It's a story that, as you may know, resulted in me having a fist fight with my own brother. Which, like, I'm from Blythe, that could just be Christmas dinner. It could be a wedding, who knows? But I'll start the story right from the beginning. I'll introduce you to us as children. This is me and Gav, right here. That's Gav with the green hat on, and there's me with the NHS glasses. And I think the hat and the glasses came out of the same cracker that year. I really do. Me and Gav definitely came out the same cracker. She's called Linda, lovely woman. Lovely, lovely woman. And my mum, Linda is in this photo. If you look closely, you can see my mum. Can you see her? Don't say the bike. Look closer. The hand. Look, there she is, right there. There's Linda's hand. Now that you know my mum's hands there, the more you look at this photo, it looks like there wasn't actually a BMX, it's just a pair of handlebars. We're too poor, we couldn't afford a full BMX. So we just had to make do with the handlebars. Me and Gav had hours of fun with those handlebars, running up and down the street, making motorbike noises. It was a different time back then. And me and Gav, we used to fight all the time as kids. We used to fight like cat and dog. And I stopped fighting with Gav because he's 2 years older than me and he had a growth spurt before I did. And I stopped fighting with him because of logic. And he soon became my protection racket. He stuck up for me. And any little problem I got in school, he said he wasn't a tough kid, but his best friend was. He had a friend called Gary Tweddle. Yeah, Gary Tweddle went through puberty at the age of 4. And he was in school with his hairy armpits. He looked like one of the teachers had put a school uniform on. You know, like if Gary Tweddle took his school tie off, he could have signed for deliveries. And he would go home from school, give his dad a swing. He was a big dude. And those two stuck up for me all through school. Now, every comedian, not every comedian, but a lot of comedians have the same issue that they got picked on in school and they had to develop a sense of humor as a defense mechanism to add value to them in the schoolyard, so they ended up becoming comedians. Mine was a different story. I got stuck up for by Gav and Gary, and I just grew up to be a cocky little shit. And that's it. So I think I became a comedian because of Gav and Gary looking after me, facilitating it, but I think I got my sense of humor from my granddads. I had two very different granddads in my life with different sense of humors. First up, I'll introduce you to my granddad Pete, and this is the RAF gentleman. They don't make them like that anymore. You know when you hear that? They're talking about guys like this. He was a gentleman. I went to him for wisdom. I would never swear in front of my granddad Pete, God rest his soul. And then there's my granddad Harry, who's a dirty old bastard. Dirty, dirty old fuck. And he is gonna live for fucking ever. He is going nowhere fast. And I got my dirty sense of humour from me, because he's a filthy man. Here he is again, that's my granddad. And he would take me on camping holidays. Me and my brother, Gav, he took us away in his caravan. And he took me away with me, Gav, him, and his wife, who was younger than my mum. And I still haven't decided if that makes him a legend or a creep. I still don't know. But because she was younger than my mum, she didn't like to be called Nana. So we called her Auntie, which is fine until you tell all of your friends in the street you're going on a caravan holiday with your granddad and your brother and your auntie, and they turn up in a 2-bedroom camper van and take you to Norfolk, where incest isn't frowned upon. And just so you know, this isn't my auntie in this photo. This is my granddad's cousin, but I still think he was trying to fuck her. You don't know how much I wish that wasn't true. But one morning, I woke up in the caravan to it rocking off its wheels. I felt seasick. I thought I'd woke up on a boat. It's rocking, and yes, you're all adults. You all realised straight away that my granddad was taking his new hip for a spin. I was too young. I was 7 years old. I was too naive to realise what was happening. So I woke up and I got a fright. I was like, Grandad, somebody's rocking the caravan, Grandad. There's somebody outside. And the caravan stopped rocking for like a second. As my granddad went, it's just the wind. And this dickhead, I got my kite out the box. I woke up Gav. I think, Gav, it's windy, come play with my kite. We could not get that thing off the fucking ground. The kite was like a dead dog on a leash. The caravan looked like it was about to fly off to Kansas City. So I've had this dirty old devil on my shoulder, and that's where I think I get my potty mouth and my toilet humour from, so my granddad Harry, but luckily I've had balance, and my granddad Pete, who gives me my silly sense of humour. And my granddad Pete had such a fun, innocent, victimless sense of humour. And I'm going to give you a Peter Humphries original. It's something that he said in the moment that made me laugh, and I think it sums up his sense of humour. But it was 2 weeks before he passed away, and he's lying in his hospital bed, and he had his oxygen mask on, and I was chatting away to him, and the nurse come along in the middle of our conversation and tampered with his oxygen tank, made a little note on his clipboard, and she wandered off without saying anything. And my granddad took his mask down and asked what she did. He was like, what did she just do? And I didn't know what she'd done, so I just made a joke. He likes jokes. I was like, I don't know, Granddad. I think she just replaced your oxygen with helium. And my granddad went, no, she didn't! The squeakiest voice he can muster. That's jokes till the bitter end, right? That's keeping a sense of humour through hard times, and I'm inspired by that. And I miss my granddad Pete a lot. He was one of my closest friends, but I will share with you a story about me and my granddad Pete that I should never tell anybody. I shouldn't share this with anybody. I should take this to the grave, like he did. But I'm going to tell it. I grabbed his cock once. Grabbed it, didn't have to. Just once. Right, I'll give it some context. The reason I like to tell this story is because I think it's a very heartwarming story. But he was sat in his hospital bed around about the same period of time when he cracked the joke with the helium. And he sat there, and we were chatting, and he needed the bathroom. So he pressed the alert. There's a little button by his bed for the nurse to come and help him with anything, and no nurses arrived. He needed the bathroom, but nobody turned up to help him. So I went for a look around the ward, and I saw there was a bunch of commotion going on, all hands to the pumps on one of the hospital beds, and I came back to tell my granddad everyone was busy. And my granddad had already made a start, right? He had the cardboard cup in this hand. And because my granddad had suffered a stroke, he was dead all down one side, and with the arm that had been affected by the stroke, he couldn't get his fly down. And I was watching the panic in his eyes as he was about to piss himself. And that man does not piss himself. My granddad Harry, he pisses himself. Like, that's his thing. Like, if my granddad Harry starts pissing himself, I walk him home from the pub. We've had a good night. You know, I'm my granddad Harry's genes. I've pissed myself twice in one day before. But Peter Humphries does not piss himself. He is too dignified for that. So I was like, I'm going in. And I rolled my sleeves up. And I pulled his fly down because he couldn't. And I pulled his boxers to one side. I got his tiny little shriveled up. He's definitely my granddad. I found that out. And I put his tiny little willy. I am so sorry. I put his willy in the end of the cardboard cup because he couldn't. And he started filling the cardboard cup. And I was just pleased that I'd saved him from wetting his trousers. I was pleased with myself. I felt like I'd done something noble. My granddad, not as pleased as I was. Like, he wasn't angry. He was just confused. As he went, Kai, what? Why didn't you just hold the cup? I don't know why I didn't hold the cup. I was like, Grandad, I am so sorry. Let's never tell anybody. This can be our little secret. So yes, I think I got my sense of humor from my grandparents, and like I said, my brother and his friend facilitated me becoming a comedian. But the first person to spot me was my school teacher. And I know this because when I started doing open mic nights, my mum found out I was doing stand-up comedy, and she said to me, she said, "Oh, Kai, one of the teachers said you were funny when you were in school. I'll go find the report card." And she dug out the report card, and at first it was great, right? Because Mr. Wallington was like, straight in, "Kai is quick and witty. Yay, he's quick and witty." These qualities are often his downfall. Oh. And then he goes on to say, "Getting on with a task is a major problem, and punctuality remains to be a problem too." And I'd love to stand here and say I have an axe to grind with Mr. Wallington, and I pursued my dream to prove him wrong, that it wasn't my downfall, but everything he said in that report card was so true. I couldn't argue with any of it. Let's break it down. Concentrating on a task is a major problem. I had a job as a lifeguard for 9 years before I took up stand-up comedy. I had one job: concentrate on the pool. I couldn't do that right. Like, nobody died, nobody drowned on my watch, but none of that was anything to do with me. That was 9 years of sheer luck. Like, one day, I was lifeguarding the pool, Concordia Leisure Centre, and there was 100 kids in the pool. It was the summer holidays, and it was packed to capacity. One in, one out, and I was daydreaming. I'm supposed to be watching, but I'm just in my own world. And my friend Graham, who was on the high chair of the pool, jumped down off the high chair, ran to the deep end, and went, Kai, the boy with the face mask goggles." And I looked, and there was a child about 9 years old wearing scuba goggles, and he was going under the water, coming back up, taking a big gasp for breath, going back under, and I panicked. His arms were flapping everywhere. I panicked because I didn't know how long this child had been struggling when I meant to be keeping him safe. And I dived in immediately, and I was gliding along the bottom of the pool, opened my eyes to see that his feet were landing quite firmly on the tiles. This kid was jumping up and down, having a nice time, and I was heading in his direction pretty quick. And then it dawned on me what my colleague was pointing out. What Graham was saying is that he was wearing face mask goggles, which, because they block your nostrils, they're against the rules in our pool. They block an airway. And this dawned on me far too late. As I come up underneath this child, picked him up by his armpits and went, "You're not allowed to wear those, mate." Not on my watch. Like, in front of his parents. like the most vigilant lifeguard in the world. Like, nobody runs on my poolside. I don't blow my whistle, I rugby tackle them to the ground. It's vigilance. It's not vigilance. It's not being able to concentrate. And punctuality was a problem too. I turned up to that job late all of the time. Especially when I started doing stand-up at the same time, because I would finish my shift at the sports centre, and then I would drive to the middle of butt-fuck nowhere, 3 hours away to do 5 unpaid minutes. There's like 6 men and a dog. And then I'd drive home through the night and do my shift the next day. And it was during this time, I called these 2 years of my career the suicide miles. And during this time is when I pissed myself twice in one day. Let's cover these stories real quick. So the first one, I'd finished my shift, and I was driving to a gig in Anglesey, in northwest Wales, and I'd almost got there, and I decided I needed to pull over to use the bathroom. I pulled over in a garage, and because it was in rural Wales, it wasn't a service station, it was just a regular garage. And I went in with my jeans and t-shirt, because I was still in my work uniform, and I noticed there was no toilets in the garage apart from the one behind the counter. So I asked the girl, I said, "Can I use the staff toilet to get changed, please?" And she went, "Sure, you can use it to get changed, but don't use the bathroom. Don't use the toilet because it's out of order." And I went in there. I don't know if you've been locked in a bathroom and you need the toilet and you see a toilet, your body gets the message, right? But I'm thinking, I'm an adult. I can survive this. I'm just dancing into my jeans and my t-shirt and just trying to get out there to piss behind the back of the garage. And eventually, I just gave in, whipped it out, and started pissing in the sink. And it was at this point I started overthinking it. I started thinking that she can hear me pissing, so she thinks I'm using the out-of-order toilet. Or she's just right next to the door. Or even worse, she thinks I'm using the sink. And I thought, I've got to hide the noise, so I turned the tap on because I thought the running water would disguise the sound of the running water. And all it did was backwash everything back onto my jeans. It just flooded onto my crotch, and it looked like I'd pissed myself 100 times. And I realized I was stuck in the bathroom. I couldn't leave. Because if I leave like this, you can see that I've pissed myself. And if I get changed back into my uniform, what the fuck have I been doing in there? I just come out like, I just changed my mind and stood around for 2 minutes. I couldn't do that, so I decided the only way to leave was own it. Walk out like, and what? I do this all the time. Pay for my petrol and get out of there. Never see the girl again. So I built up all of this false confidence as I walked out the bathroom with this big puddle on my crotch. And she disarmed me immediately because she looked at the puddle, looked at me and went, fucking, why didn't you just use the sink? Silly me. I should have used the sink. Fast forward 3 hours. I am driving home from that very gig. I've done the show. I've dried up. And I'm halfway through. I'm through the countryside, and I pull over the car because I need to go again. And I get out of the car, and it's when you're in the countryside, you don't realize how dark it is until you get out of the car, look away from the headlights, and you can't see your hand in front of your face. No light pollution or anything. And I'm just waiting for my eyes to adjust, plucking up the courage to step behind my car and off the road so I can do my business. And then over my shoulder, out of nowhere, in the middle of nowhere, there's a screech right next to my right ear. Just, Arr! And it horrified me. Like, I didn't even have time to process what the fuck had just happened. Before I knew it, I was sat in my car. I hadn't made a decision. I was just doing it. I was sat in my car, doing 100 miles an hour, door flapping in the wind, pissing myself yet again. And then that noise again, as the windscreen wiper went across the dry windshield. It's too much. And then I would go home and go to work late, and no one would understand. Everyone just thought I stunk of piss because I was ginger. And I got to quit that job in 2011, January 2011. It was a big day. I quit my job as a lifeguard to pursue my dream as a stand-up comedian. And on my last day at work, I knew what was going to happen. I knew I was going to get thrown in the pool. Because this happens to everybody. Everybody that leaves that sports centre gets thrown in, and everybody thinks it's not going to be them. I was no different. I thought, they're not going to catch me out. I'm going to get away from this. I'm going to finish my shift dry. And the way I did it is I put on every item of uniform that I'd acquired for 9 years. And I walked in like Joe, your friends. I'm working 10 pairs of everything. And I walked in like that, thinking to myself, you can throw me in, but whoever does the deed is going to have to do the laundry. And I thought that would deter them. Didn't deter them. They threw me in fucking immediately. As a unit. An arm and a leg each, threw me into the water. And I don't know if you know this, but when you're wearing that many layers and you hit water, it turns into cement. And I just sunk to the bottom of the pool, and there was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't get my balance. I couldn't stand up. And I was lying there wide-eyed, genuine panic that I was going to die. As 6 lifeguards stood over the edge laughing at me. Laughing. Why wouldn't they be laughing? I just quit my job to become a comedian, and here I am at work fooling around. And I was looking up at them thinking, Kai is quick and witty, and this is often his downfall. It was nearly my actual downfall. Spoiler alert, I survived. I got out. But it was during this time when I was quitting my job as a lifeguard to become a comedian. I had moved in with my brother. We bought a house in Ashington, of all places. And when we moved in together, it wasn't long since we were moved in. Like, I've started working away, going over to Liverpool more and more. He worked on the roads, throwing cones out. He's a cone warrior. and he was going away for 2 weeks, sometimes coming back for weekends, and we shared a PC. And in this flat, we had one rule. It was do not fuck with each other's Facebook. Right? And I stuck to that rule. That's a house rule. You stick to them. One day, Gav's gone for Liverpool, and I shut down his Facebook. True to form. I closed his iTunes. Everything he's had open, I started closing until I was faced with what was titled, Gav's happiness bar chart. Now, I made a pact with my brother not to fuck with his Facebook. I made no pact not to take a photo of his happiness bar chart and then show it to hundreds of people 7 years later. Gav's happiness bar chart. Can you see that with the glare on it? No. There's too much glare on it, isn't there? Well, if you can't, Gav's happiness bar chart, you will see, if you can see, is a line graph. That's a line graph. That's not the biggest travesty in this bar chart, line graph. The content is the worst. I started reading it. I've put tags on, maybe you can see these. Can you read that? That's at 60%. 60% she texts me. That's what makes Gav 60% happy, right? And then it takes a dip. It takes a dip to 40% when she doesn't text me. Oh, boo fucking who. Look at the next one, right? He's back to 60% happy again because I catch her looking at me. What the fuck am I looking at here? Imagine this as a younger brother, and you look at this bullshit. It's at this point that I realized that it's only the girl that turned out to be a waitress at the hotel where he is staying. This waitress is the only thing that affects his happiness. There's no other influences to his happiness in this bar chart. I was hoping I would see like 60% had a sausage roll. Or down to 20%, remember Diana died. So, when I realized it was all about the girl, I realized there's only one of two reasons why he's created this chart. He has created this chart, number one, so that he can send it to her in a message, in an email, and send it to her so he can have a little bit of left field banter, a little bit of, look how different I am to the rest of the guys that are chatting you up, how creative am I, look at me, look at me. That's number one. Right? Number two, it's for his own records. This is for his files. If it's number one, he's a total weapon. If it's number two, he's a fucking serial killer. And because I do not believe my brother's a serial killer, and because I know he's a total weapon, I gathered that he made this chart to send to her, to send to the girl. And with that in mind, let's analyze the data, knowing that she's going to see it. Let's check out what he's wrote, because I don't think it's all complimentary when you look into it. Let's see if you can you see there? Clothes off, 80%. That's pretty cool, right? 80% for getting clothes off. There's room for improvement, but he's still very happy. That's not where the problem lies, right? So look, it takes a little dip here because there's an element of jeopardy where he doesn't know if he's going to get any, and then it goes up to 83% when he gets a bra off. I don't know if he doesn't count bra as clothes or if he should put it back on. That's not what we're going to get into here. What we're going to get into is 80% clothes off, 83% bra off. That's 3% for tits. That's 1.5% happiness per boob. This can't be right. This is my brother. Oh my God, because just earlier, in the same chart, in the same message, he told her it was 20% for texts. He has told this girl in one chart that he prefers her text to her tits. He's a fucking monster. So let's move on, right? Next, 100%. 100% is the next peak. That's as happy as you can get. I don't need to tell you what made him so happy. He got laid. He got laid, all right? Arguably, he should have left a few percent for threesomes and anal and 100%. He's happy. He's a happy man. But then he takes a dip in form. It goes to the lowest yet. It goes to the lowest, and this personally affronted me. I have to leave here for Newcastle. And this has got him down to like 30% happy. Now, this hurt me because like when Gav started working in Liverpool, bear in mind, we've been like 2 years apart. We went to the same schools together. We even eventually grew up to live together. I'd spent every day with my brother, and then all of a sudden, he's going off to Liverpool for weeks. And you know what? I'm not scared to admit it. I missed him. And I thought he missed me too. I didn't think he was driving home with a long face listening to Snow Patrol. What a bellend. If I lay here, fuck you, mate. If I had a happiness chart when I was reading this, I would have took a little dip. A little dip in happiness. But then Gav gets happy again. It gets back up to 80%. Right, 80% when They had sex again. Diminishing returns. Like, okay, Gav, it might not have been as good as the first time because the first time had the element of the thrill of the chase. And that one didn't, but don't fucking tell her. Don't tell her that the sex is getting worse after 2 lays. Don't tell her that the second time you had sex with her was 3% less than her shit tits. Bullshit. He's a monster. And then it took a dip. If you see this, it takes a dip to 0%. Should I worry about him? 0% suicidal, right? Should I worry about Gav? And then 100%. 0 then 100. This is a roller coaster coming up. I'm like, what is it? Has she been rushed into hospital? But then it's for a boob job? What could it be? Look, check this out. 0% happy. She still has a boyfriend. Oh, now it's her that's the monster. But what could make him so happy after finding out that news? She tells me she loves me. Fuck off, mate. This is the worst. What, the girl that cheated twice loves you? Tell me how that one ended. She left him for another man. For someone that analyzes data, you can't pattern form. This relationship didn't last. I like to call it the X-axis. Very clever. Now, I am very lucky to have footage of Gav going through his full range of happiness. I've got footage of him being at 0% happy and at 100% happy in the same 1-minute video. And we are lucky to have this video because my friend Craig is a genius. They lived together for a short spell of time. And when they lived together, Gav asked Craig to get him some groceries. And when he came back with the groceries that he'd asked for, it came to £19 exactly. So he gave him the groceries and a scratch card and said, give me 20 quid. Now, Craig had had that fake scratch card for a long time. And he had waited for the perfect moment to slip it in. And he timed it so beautifully. Enjoy the fruits of Craig's labour.
Mate.
What? You got a tenner?
Mate.
You got a tenner?
We've won £50,000. We've won £50,000. I'm not even lying. I'm not even lying. Yes! Yes! We've won £50,000. I'm not even fucking lying. Look.
Yeah, it's only 3.
It's only 3?
I think we've won £50,000.
Shut up. Get on the phone with him. Mate.
Imagine.
It's a fake scratch card.
Shut up, man. Honestly. Honestly.
Yes.
That's a proper shit thing to do.
I mean, that is a proper shit thing to do to someone. But put that in your fucking bar chart. Oh my God. I put subtitles on that video because I've been doing it I've been performing the show outside of the area, and I'm aware that they're being very, very Geordie in that footage. I mean, I didn't have to put the subtitles on, ha ha ha. Like, that was just me being an asshole. But when I was putting the subtitles on, I realised he was saying, we have won £50,000. We've won it. He was going to share it. He was going to share it. And that's how much of a sweetheart Gav is. He's an absolute dude, right? He's one of the nicest people, one of the kindest people you've ever met. And Gav actually had a real dip in happiness in 2013 when he broke his back in a snowboarding accident. Now, I'm here to tell you that Gav has had surgery. He's made a full recovery. He's been snowboarding again twice. I'm sorry to put you through that emotional roller coaster. But when Gav was off, when he was off, you know, he just took some time off, the fucking slacker. When he was horizontal after his back surgery, he couldn't keep his mind active. He always does, like I said, snowboarding. He likes mountain climbing. He likes cycling, shit like that. He couldn't do any of the things that keep him active anymore. Someone's just laughing that he enjoyed cycling. Good luck with that, not getting stolen in Blythe. So he couldn't do all them things that keep him happy. So Gav decided to put his mind to other things to keep him sane. And he started doing things like photography and yoga and meditation. And like anybody who takes on photography and yoga and meditation, he become a full-on tree-hugging hippie. One of the worst. He's got mantras. Like if you ask the universe, it'll come and that shit. Like he's like, oh, if a storyline exists. This was his big one. Everybody has multiple storylines in their life and they've got control over it, and a storyline exists where you can do one thing or you can do another and you choose your storyline. And Gav was so caught onto this idea that a storyline exists that when the doctor medically qualified him to go back on the roads, he said a storyline exists where Gavin Humphries doesn't put cones on the road anymore, and he got a big loan off the fact he had a job, and then he quit his job. And he just lived the way he was living for the next few months that followed, right? He was going out and taking photographs, he was doing yoga and meditation, and we had all thought he'd gone bonkers. You know, he thought he had an epiphany. We thought he'd gone crazy. And he was saying, it's fine, the money will come, it's not about money, the money will eventually come off the photography or something. He was taking photographs of insects. I was like, I don't see that fucking cricket taking out its checkbook and signing for headshots. He'd do something. He was like, fine, I've asked the universe. It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. And I worried about Gav. And then eventually I approached Gav with this idea, which I had. Apparently, I've since learned the universe sent me. I come up to Gav with this idea. I'd been doing this stand-up comedy shit for the last few years, and I really wanted to run gigs back home, but I wasn't spending enough time at home to focus on it. I was like, we could take a part each. I could bring the comedians, I could host them, and it's a 50-50 split. You fill the rooms, and you produce the gigs, and we'll go into business together. It's going to be great. And we set it up. We started, as you're at a Punch Drunk comedy gig now. You're at the fruits of our labour. But the first one we started was in our hometown of Blythe. Now, is there some Blythe in? Yeah, I thought there was. Now, I've had to explain Blythe to some people as I've been on my travels. Nobody has heard of Blythe unless they follow non-league football. But I have told them, if you want to find out anything about any town, you just go on the Facebook page where they buy and sell shit. So if you want to find out on Blythe, about Blythe, you go on Services for You Too. I don't know what happened to the first one. But go on Services for You Too. Now, you can do this in your own time. Some of you have probably done it already. But here are a few of my favourites for the Services for You. This is a second-hand breast pump. Now, some things should be first-hand. Right, like I do not have a child, but if I did, I would not want to feed that bundle of joy someone else's second-hand breast cheese. First-hand breast pumps only for my baby. Call me posh. Another thing that should be first-hand is porn. That's a porn stash going for a $5. It's creased, it's used, but for a $5, it's yours. I checked this girl out as well, Sharon. I checked her out, and it turns out that she's got teenage sons. How much have you got to need your heroin if you're selling your teenagers porn stash for a $5? This says a lot about the town of Blythe. Now, this next person has got a terrible business model. They are selling one of the brand new £5 note for £3. That's a $5. It's going for £3. It doesn't have a special serial number on it. It doesn't have like AK-47 or that's it. Hence the discount. Now this next person had a better business model. Similar idea, better business model. He was selling the brand new £1 coins for £2. Or 5 for £10. Oh, cash in on that bargain. Look how filthy his fingers are. I'm going to buy you a few so you can afford soap. You dirty, dirty bastard. Now, the next thing that caught my eye, I didn't know what it was at first, so I'm going to let you guys see it so you can work it out. Can you see it? Do you know what it is? A dog, a dead dog. There's someone selling a dead dog for a tenner. That's Blythe. I thought it was Sharon again. It's the same Sharon. I've blocked off her second name so no one knows it was Ibbotson. I thought it was a body in a body bag, and she just wanted someone to throw it in the ones back for a tenner. But it's a punch bag. That's a punch bag, and she expected someone to buy this. And it was at this point that I decided I wanted to start trolling people on this Facebook page. I was going to try and buy this punch bag for a lower price and get it delivered to as far away as possible. Just not so I could win the item, but just so I could have the interaction and have a bit of fun. Now, because it Blythe's a small town and I'm the village comedian, I couldn't use my own Facebook account because it would quite obviously be a joke. So we used my friend David Canham. And he tried to bid for it. He comes straight in here, £6.50. Reasonable offer, right? But he said, do you deliver to Hexham? Which is what it's about 20 mile away, isn't it? And she said, I have no transport, but paid £40 for it last year off someone. At tenner's what I'm selling it for. And before we could start having fun, Moneybags Mick comes in saying, can I have this, please, full price paid. We hadn't even started having fun yet. He spoiled our game, did Mick Bunn. I don't know why I spent all that time blocking their names out. Wasted fucking time. So Moneybags Mick come in with that, and then all of a sudden, we are in a bidding war. So we went over the top. We offered £10.50 plus part exchange for this rusty bike, which we bought this 5 years ago for £150. This is her logic, right? She should understand. And she didn't even reply. So we're like, Sharon, I'm not even lying. And she didn't reply, so we went into her inbox. Oh, this is what we're fighting for, by the way. I've got a bigger picture so you can see it. 2 minutes ago, I didn't even want this thing. At this stage in the game, I fucking needed it. So we took it to the inbox. Sharon, I'd like to buy the punch bag, please. £10, yes? She's like, sorry, it's sold. Can't question her integrity. So we went in, can you tell me who to so I can make them an offer? I really want it. She was like, obviously it's Moneybags Mick. We went in, thanks Sharon, how much did he pay? It was at £10. And she didn't even reply to this question. She just took this as a business opportunity and said, I've got medium men's boxing shorts for £5. If you're interested. It says interested. So we took it to Mick Bunn's inbox. We took it to Mick's inbox. And there it is, went, hi Mick, I really want that shit punch bag that Sharon is selling. And we practically begged him for it, to withdraw his offer, let us have it, and he didn't have anything to do with it. I'm not interested, sorry, happy with my purchase and not wanting to do a deal or anything, hope you find your own punch bag elsewhere. So we begged him some more. We invited him here to these gigs. We said, Mick, we'll give you free tickets, free drinks, free pork sandwiches. We offered him sandwiches for his punch bag. You don't need a stained, mouldy, faded bag of dog piss as much as you need a brilliant night out with your friends. And he didn't even reply to that. And then Sharon just come and rubbed salt in the wound back on her status. Pissed myself laughing. Jesus, it's only a friggin' bag, man. Ha ha. Ha ha. Does she not know how much this means to us at this point? So David, did I come across desperate? Damn, my therapist's going to be pissed. And then, true to form, she did not miss this as an opportunity to try and sell us the fucking shorts. Medium worn ones, selling for £5 if you're interested. She said, interested. So we were very aware that when we were bringing comedians all from all around the world into Blythe, this is the people that we were bringing them to see. This is the people we were bringing them to meet. But what we discovered upon running our first gig in January 2015 is the people that turned up to the Punch Drunk gigs were the salt of the fucking earth, the free thinkers, you guys. I'm pandering to you. It's you people. Turn up to the gig. Like me and Gav, you are self-aware that Blythe is a little bit redneck, right? But you're happy with it. It's ours. Right? And we found a place where we could gather, where we could spend time in each other's company, and people started meeting each other, making friends, making business connections. Absolutely wonderful. In fact, Gav triggered everyone to start bringing food to the food banks. This is when he realized we've got this gathering of people, and his storyline exists where people in our area do not go hungry. Gav was becoming the cult leader that he set out to be. The storyline did exist. And I don't use the term cult leader lightly. You guys are a fucking cult. Like, it's a cult. I know that there's 12 of you. There's a picture of 4 here, but there's 12 of you who have the tattoo of the Punch Drunk logo on their flesh. You guys exist. And when this started happening, when people started getting this tattoo, I started shitting myself. Because when me and Gav went into business, I thought this was just going to be a small venture. I didn't know it was going to become a movement. And yes, it is great that people are getting our logo tattooed on their flesh, but do you know how we designed this logo? We didn't. We Googled boxing kangaroo and right-clicked the first photo that came up. And I'm definitely getting sued. I'm 100% getting sued. I've come to terms with that. I'll deal with it when it happens. But what's worse is that there's 12 people, some of you in this room, that are walking around with the official logo, because I found out where this is from those punch bag machines you find in Magaluf. You are representing the punch bag machine. But don't be ashamed. We own it now. We own it. So when we went into this business, Punch Drunk Comedy, there's a logo you've been looking at, Punch Drunk Comedy. When we went into this business, Gav turned out to be a fantastic leader of people, a fantastic promoter of gigs, a fantastic producer. And what I didn't take into account is that my brother would be the worst businessman that's ever walked this fucking earth. It was ridiculous what I was watching. I was watching all these charities doing well, all the food banks doing well, but then Gav started making decisions without consulting me. He hired someone on a full-time salary, and because he had a loan to pay off, and because I was doing stand-up as a job, I didn't need the money as much as he did, and he started paying this person with my cut. And I was coming back and performing at these gigs and watching everybody get paid, and I was walking home going, I paid for my own train ticket. And it's hard not to sound bitter about this part of our story. That's only because I'm really bitter about this part of our story. I really am. Because when I set out with this business, it wasn't fully altruistic. Yes, I wanted to get my brother back on his feet, right? I wanted to help him out. But I also wanted to progress my life. Sometimes, as a stand-up comedian, you can live like a student. It isn't all that lucrative, and you can live from day to day sometimes. And I've been with the same girl for 5 years, and I wanted to get married. I wanted to propose, maybe start a family. So I wanted to start this business as another string to my bow. And a little subplot, I have since got engaged. I'm getting married next year. I'm getting married next year. And I'll tell you about the proposal too. Is there anybody here married? Give me a cheer, the married people. Yeah? You weren't sure? You checked? You're like, what's hilarious is that's David Cannam's parents. From the punch bag story. Yeah. So I didn't get down on one knee. Is that all right? I don't need the men's response. Like, your opinion means shit to this question. Girls, I didn't get down on one knee. Is that okay? Yes. Mixed. That's pretty mixed. Right? I nearly did. I nearly got down on one knee. I was halfway down and then changed my mind. It felt fucking weird. I was halfway down. I thought, why don't you just get down on 2 knees and beg? Oh, please, can we buy all of our friends their dinner? And I bought the ring as well. And I'm not bragging, I'm not suggesting that I would have stole it. I know I'm from Blythe, but I bought the ring, and I'm glad I bought the ring because some people use Grandma's ring. Some people use the family heirloom. There's no other way to word it. Some people use the hand-me-down ring. Right. Some people use Grandma's ring, and I used to think that was romantic, to wear, passed down from generation to generation, perhaps, until I found out that when I proposed with a first hand ring, and I found out that hand jobs do not stop. She still touches your dick from time to time. It was the same for Grandad. Like, if you are wearing Grandma's ring right now, it has 100% touched your Grandad's dick. I am sorry if you came for comedy, and you're getting facts. If you are wearing Grandma's ring, I am not saying that it's not romantic. I am saying run it under the tap. I'll make sure Grandma's right-handed. No. So, this is how, I proposed, but it took me 1.5 years longer than I wanted to do because I was trying to raise the funds for it, and I couldn't because I was coming home and performing to 300 people in our sold-out business, and everyone was getting paid except me, and it was all down to Gav's business decisions. In the words of my best friend, my role model, the person I look up to the most, in the words of him, that's a proper shit thing to do to someone. And yes, I was a little bit mad at Gav during this period of time, but we never fell out. We're stronger than that as brothers. The bond is deeper than falling out over money and falling out over business. But whatever qualms that we had, whatever business fallouts we had, it was overshadowed. When we got introduced to the state of a boy in our area, our friends, Gary Tweddle and Kelly, who I mentioned Gary earlier on the show, they introduced us to a family in our area called the Musgroves. Now, Kane Musgrove, that's Kat on the left, his mum, and Kane, who's with him, he's got neuroblastoma, and we found out about this neuroblastoma, knew nothing about the condition, but learned that it isn't treatable on the NHS. He'd been through some treatment, but his family were told to enjoy the rest of the time they have left with him. And it turned out like Kat had done her research after this. No mother would ever take no for an answer on that. There's got to be something. She'd done her research and found out there's actually proton therapy treatment, which is available in America. And because it's pioneering treatment, and because it's in America, it's an extortionate amount of money. It's over £500,000. Not dollars, pounds. And Gav found out about Kane and told me about it and went, Guy, there's got to be some fundraising we can do. And I was just at a loss. I was like, I don't know, that's an impossible amount of money for this area in general. Like, how are we supposed to do that? And Gav said, it doesn't matter how we do it. A storyline exists where this little dude lives. And that's his mantra. And he told me this, and he said, Kai, we can just do something, do anything, raise the smallest amount of money, but we've done our bit, we've made an effort, we've tried to do it. And we pondered for a while about what we could do to raise some money. And we come up with doing a comedians boxing event in Blythe. Gav said he found a venue where we could sell 800 tickets. And at 800 tickets, we can raise £20,000, which is a small amount, but it's a start, and it might get people's attention. And I was like, I've got to go out and find 20 comedians who are going to punch each other in the face, who are out of shape, never had a fight in their life. And it was amazing how quick the comedians got on board. So many comedians signed up to it immediately, and they didn't just sign up to fight each other, they signed up to do their own fundraising on the side. One of the comedians decided that he would auction off on Facebook for people to bid on what he wore as he walked out into the ring. Now, what is the worst thing you could wear walking into the ring in front of 800 drunk Geordies? A Sunderland shirt. It's quite an easy answer, right? A Sunderland shirt. How about a Sunderland shirt with Shearer on the back? That man risked his life. Risked his life to raise money for Kane. And one of the comedians who wasn't boxing, a comedian who you've seen on the Punch Drunk stages before, Daniel Sloss, he couldn't be there. He was in America getting even more famous. And because he couldn't be there and wanted to pay his part, he bought one of the sponsorship packages. And he bought the biggest one, and I was confused at what logo he was going to use. Yes, he's got a business as a comedian, but what's he going to do? Put his poster on? What's he going to put up? And then he sent through the artwork for his business that he was using to sponsor this event. And it was a picture of him tongue-kissing my future wife. A picture of him groping my future wife. And because this was an event that we were running, it was my duty to put up the banners around this building. And I had to put buildings up for the event that I was running of him. Fucking 6 months it took me to get him back, but a storyline exists where I kissed Daniel's mum. I kissed Daniel's mum. And I have had a crush on that woman. I've had a crush on that woman for a long time. If I was there when Daniel was born, I would have licked him clean to taste that woman. So it's good to see that method of sponsorship still alive, by the way, because people have sponsored this event and they're going to be on the DVD with their logos. But over here, I couldn't help but notice Kev George still lives with his mum. Someone paid for the sponsorship to say Kev George still. Kev, are you in? I've got a message. You've got to be quiet when you get home. Quiet. So, we started running this boxing event. The comedians were doing their fundraising. Everything was in place. Rod Gilbert even said that he would host the event. And because of Rod's name on the ticket, we managed to sell upwards of 500 seats. And it was 10 days before the event, and we still had 300 seats to sell. And Gav had an idea. He said, how about we get in the ring with each other? Two local brothers get in and have a fight. We know enough people that would want to see us punch each other's face in. Should we do that? And we agreed to this. And the Gav ended up selling out the event. And we were so busy running running the event, organising the comedians, that we forgot that we were about to punch each other. It got like 10 minutes before the fight, and we started getting our hands wrapped. And Gav said to me, "It's been a good show out there, don't hold back." He said, "Let's just go in and put on a show. Don't hold back, because I won't hold back." And then when we got in the ring, we didn't fucking hold back. Like, I'm just going to show you the first 10 seconds or so of this fight. So here it is.
For the last time this evening, give it up, let's get ready to rumble!
A battle between two brothers is the most personal type of battle there can be. It might not even make a second round. Jeez. Whoa. Neither brother exhausted by all their charity work this week. Jeez. Kai Humphries fighting like he hasn't spent months organising this.
I mean, it might as well have been in Wetherspoon's car park. Like, we did not hold back. We didn't wear headgear. The other comedians wore headgear because they thought they had to. But then we found out off the coaches at Millennium Martial Arts that you didn't have to wear headgear, so we didn't wear them. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but I wasn't wearing shoes. It doesn't get much more redneck than that. Fuck, we're only wearing gloves because we had to. I didn't even want to wear shorts. You may recognize the shorts, by the way. Best £5 I've ever spent. What a bargain! Only worn twice. Yours for £3 if you're interested. And the fight pretty much went that way from beginning to end. It was 3 2-minute rounds, and I'll show you the final 10 seconds just to show you that.
We've got 10 seconds to go!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
0 points for technique, but 100 points for effort. We're shitboxers, but we'll give it a good go. There's professional judges at this event, and I don't know if they scored this officially or whether they just did it in the nature of the evening, but they scored the match to be a draw. And like I said, I don't know if it was a draw, but I spoke to my dad after the fight, and he told me that he thought Gav won. He didn't have to say that. He didn't have to say it. But by all accounts, this was the best day of my life. It really was. I think the same goes for Gav too. And I'm worried about this because I've got a wedding coming up. And I've got to say that was the best day of my life, right? Everybody says that. Is that your mum, Kev? Kev, you said you'd be home by 10. I'm sure possibly my wedding will be the best day of my life, but I'm 34 now. I have watched a lot of my friends get married, right? I've watched most of them get married. I'm one of the last ones left. And I watched my friend Lee get married. I watched him say, "This is the best day of my life." He read it off a bit of paper that he wrote down the day before, so he was guessing. Right? He said, "This is the best day of my life." Now, let me tell you something about my friend Lee. I've been to Vegas with that man. I watched him win $1,000, and instead of wasting that money, he spent it on cocaine and strippers. Didn't waste it. All I'm saying is that wedding was not the best day of his fucking life. Not even close. I was there on both of those occasions, and on one of them, he said it without using a script. And he was crying more. But like I said, this was the best day of my life, but at the time, it wasn't. At the time, it's only the best day of my life in retrospect. At the time, it couldn't be, because Kane wasn't out of the woods yet. We raised £20,000 from this event off the tickets alone, but with the other fundraising that was done on the evening and with the comedians, we reached £40,000, and that was a small amount, but it had been added to the other fundraising that had been going on in the Northeast, which had reached £400,000. That's where the total was up to, which is a miracle already, but still... a miracle. Absolute miracle. So we played our part in reaching that £400,000, but Kane still needed over £100,000 before the total was reached and the clock was ticking. And me and Gav didn't know what to do. We were a little bit charitied out, so we reached out to the Punch Drunk Army. You guys. We reached out to you guys. We reached out to the Punch Drunk Army for 100 heroes to step forward. 100 people who we would each set up with a Just Giving page for £1,000. And if everybody could go out and raise their £1,000 by the time they come back with their fundraising endeavours, the total will be reached. And when we set this up, we were just blown away by what happened in our community over the next few days. The same community that was selling their porn stash for a £5 absolutely opened the eyes of the world. I asked Gav to put me a short video together of the 100 heroes so that you can see what happened and enjoy the fruits of your own labour.
When the daylight comes, do you feel it? Leave your bag of bones underneath your bed. Everything is as it should be. I'm leaving now, as I should be. No way, no we're never gonna talk.
Now, a storyline exists where this little dude doesn't die, and we can most certainly do something about it.
The cause, if you don't know, is his caring for Kian. We've raised over 20 grand tonight. So far, so far.
Thank you everybody at Punch Drunk and lovely comedians for all the help I get through this. One day I might be part of your team.
You did it! You did it! You guys! You did it! Every single hour of every single day I was refreshing those Just Giving pages, and eventually the money come across the line. And I don't know if you saw in the build-up as well that there was a kind-hearted stranger donated £40,000. I don't know who that was. None of us still don't know who that was, but it was during a time when Jimmy Carr was going through a tax scandal. So maybe that's where he was putting his money. I don't know. And also Simon Cowell, as we know, put in a large amount of money, put in quite a substantial amount of money, and I genuinely had to go through my Twitter feed, deleting all the mean shit that I'd said about him. I did. But the 100 Heroes brought the money across the line, and we got to tell Kane's mum, and sure enough, Kane went to America, and he got the treatment that he deserved, and more recently than that, he's went back to school, and he's done it. He's still on this earth. Because of the 100 Heroes. And when I was in Australia, he paid Punch Drunk a visit, and I got sent the video while I was in Australia of him visiting Punch Drunk, and it brought a tear to my eye. And let's relive this one more
Should
time.
we make him part of the team now?
Yeah!
Like right now?
Yeah!
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Kai Humphries! Would you like to be part of our team? This is my medal from Fight for Kane, and I've waited a year to put this on it.
What did you say? Oh. So thank you.
Thank you. I love the Punch Army. Never ever quit.
Never, ever quit. Never, ever quit. And he's part of the Punch Drunk Army now. He's got a tattoo and everything. And hey, I'd love to know where Gav got that fucking medal from, because it was a draw. I think my dad must have been giving them out. Who knows? But look, if you can take any advice from these two absolute diamonds, it's that if a storyline exists, then you never ever quit. A storyline existed where Gav became a cult leader because he never ever quit. A storyline existed where you guys raised the money, the 100 Heroes got the money because you never ever quit. There's a storyline exists where Kane is still here because he never ever quit. But look, no matter how big or small the storyline you wish to exist. I put the money on the washing line. Never, ever quit. Thank you. Thank you. Before we wrap up this lovely evening, I just want to point some things out. Some of the 100 Heroes are in this room. Could you please stand up, make yourself known? Don't be shy. Stand up before you. Have a look around you right now. Have a look around you. Also, in the back of the room, some of the boxers, Michael McCabe, Tom Horton, Daniel Sloss. You can stand up, make yourself known. And ladies and gentlemen, please, if you could, will you welcome to the stage so we can give him some love, my brother, my hero, my role model, Mr. Kai Humphries.
Kai Humphries, David Cannon. Just so you know. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kiel Musgrove! Never ever quit!
This is the first time we've met.